The only reason you love and want your specific person is because they love and want you back. And as always, this idea is easily expressed through a Neville Goddard quote. So Neville Goddard wrote, "What you desire, you already possess. It is simply awaiting your recognition of it." So that's why when I mentioned the only reason that you can actually have a desire is because that state or desire is wanting you back. That's the reason, and you can't actually ever desire something that isn't meant for you. In the same way that if you can imagine something, you can create it. There is a specific reason as to why you desire your specific person and why everyone else has their own specific person or state or embodiment or desire or manifestation that they desire, because it is your own state trying to seek embodiment. And I know I'm throwing two really quick Neville Goddard quotes at you, but here's another one that describes this perfectly. So Neville Goddard also wrote, "Desires are states of consciousness seeking embodiment. They are formed by man's consciousness and can easily be expressed by the man who has conceived them." So think about it in this way. This means that your desire, or the state or version of yourself that already has your specific person right here and right now, is trying to live through you. Because remember, time doesn't exist in the way that you think it does. The past, present, and future are all happening simultaneously right here and right now. So that means there already is a version of you at this current moment that is already with your specific person. And the reason that you feel the desire at all to thus be with your specific person is because that version of you that again has already achieved it is trying to live itself through your current state and embody itself within you. Because the Neville Goddard quote also goes on to say, "Desires are expressed when the man who has conceived them assumes the attitude of mind that would be his if the states desired were already expressed." So this is obviously something that we already know. We just have to act out and be the individual that already has what we want. And thus we are basically creating or embodying the state of that outcome. And thus, because your reality is a mirror, it must reflect that. But I'm going to give you a way in which you can do this so easily. And I absolutely love this idea. But again, never forget, the only reason you want your specific person is because they want you. So if you feel like giving up or letting go of something that you desire, remember, you would not desire it if a version of you wasn't seeking the embodiment. But the way in which I want you to imagine this, and again, this is one of my favorite ideas that I've ever had, so use it and manifest in the quickest way possible, is to imagine your state as an odor. So most of the time when we are trying to manifest, we think that certain small little things aren't going to affect our manifestation, right? We think, oh, well, I can just be negative, I can vent, and it doesn't matter because nobody is around to hear me. But that's actually not the case. And the reason you want to think of it as an odor is because an odor affects everyone around you, regardless if you are trying to make that happen or not. So think about it in this way. When you walk up to someone and they smell either really bad or really good, or I guess not even smell at all, you immediately know. Right? There is no transition state. It's not like you have to wait for them to speak or do something or act in a certain way. You're immediately going to tell what they smell like. But the crazy thing is you're actually also doing this instantaneously with their state, but you're just not realizing it, but it is automatic. So whenever, and you can actually even try this out today, every time you encounter someone, you are immediately picking up on their state. And the same thing is happening to you. So what you are thinking and what you are doing has a greater impact than you think it is. So even if you are not in contact or around someone or speaking to someone or having an action towards someone, they're picking up on your state. But the crazy thing about states is it goes above and beyond this. It almost would be like, imagine if anyone even thinking about you could pick up on the way you smell at that current time. Now, that would be absolutely crazy and ridiculous, but that's how states work. So if you can remember and go throughout your day today, assuming and acting as if your state was an odor, meaning people are going to pick up and know exactly what you're feeling and what you're assuming to be at this current moment, you are going to see your entire reality begin to shift. Because the problem where people sometimes get stuck in manifestation is they totally neglect this idea. They think, well, well, I can think negative thoughts, I can do negative things behind the scenes, but if other people or my specific person never sees it, then it doesn't matter. They think the only time in which they should do something is when they're encountering their specific person. But again, that's not the case at all. Whatever you do is actually in alignment with the current state that you're in. So if you're in a negative state, then trying to do something positive from a negative state isn't going to do anything. It's like Neville Goddard mentions, and the two things that we need in order to manifest are going to be our inner speech and our actions. And your actions cannot come about unless your inner speech matches. They're kind of like a step-by-step process. You must have your inner speech first before you can actually perform any actions. Because think about it this way. Someone who tries to act from a state that is not in alignment, but doing all the proper actions, will actually fail or not do as well as someone who is in a proper state, but then performing negative actions. The state is thus the building block in which we're going to build everything from. So go throughout your day thinking and acting in that way. And the crazy thing is, it will sometimes feel like people are reading your mind, right? You will come about and immediately get responses from people in your reality, reflecting what you have only been thinking. And the crazy thing is too, if you still are kind of having a hard time with this or thinking, okay, so what do I do? The crazy thing I always like to do, and again, this is very simple, and it's going to show you the power that your mind has. Go throughout your day, go for a walk. Anytime you're like walking in a city or something, go find a place to walk around. And when you're walking, just imagine people moving out of your way. Just think, these people are going to move out of my way, and then walk. And you'll find people just inherently understand your own thoughts somehow and start to move out of your way. I've practiced this time and time again, and I've had people practice this whenever they are feeling doubtful or down or feel like my thoughts aren't creating in my reality. And it shows you that somehow, some way, again, we know exactly how, but to your logical mind, it's not going to make any sense. Somehow, everyone is picking up on that, but your specific person, again, is no different. So I love this idea, and it helps me out massively when I think about anything as being an odor. So the state as an odor. So if you're in a negative state, a down state, non-confident state, sad state, whatever, just know that's an odor of sadness. Your state is being immediately expressed to everyone around you. But at the same time, if you do something different, if you act, think, behave, believe, and assume in a positive, then that becomes a very fragrant, extraordinary, fun, exciting odor that everyone around you is going to experience immediately. And there is no transition state for this. Because again, as soon as you come into contact, we've all done it before, it was someone who does not smell good, immediately you know. And the crazy thing is as well, so the state also, it goes further into this metaphor, because when you don't smell good, right? We've all been there. We've all worked out a little too hard, had been a little too smelly. Do you notice that about yourself? Is it inherently something that you're aware of? And you would say, well, no. Right? Most of the time, it's only when you're thinking from an outside perspective that you can understand what you smell like. And only when someone encounters you and is like, oh my gosh, you do not smell good. And why is that? And you would say because your nose gets accustomed to this smell. And so thus it is totally blind to it. But the same thing is with our state, because we could convince ourselves that everything is fine and dandy and continue smelling bad, but then convince ourselves and be like, why aren't people wanting to hang around me? Why is my life not going in the way I want? Because we create this like sensory blindness to the outcome, but we do the same thing when it comes to our state, right? We act in a state that doesn't align with what we want. And because we've always done that, because it's natural and habitual, we become blind to it. And thus we have no ability to actually become aware of it and then change it at all. So this is just something to keep in mind. And again, as you act this out, remember, your specific person, everyone around you is picking up on your state immediately. So what you do in your free time, what you do in small things matters a lot. And you will see a drastic change in everything just by changing small things. That's, again, another reason why I mentioned manifestation being easy and effortless, because it's just these small things that we alter and change and see a massive difference. So try this out. And if you did have any questions on it, make sure to leave them in the comment section below. Remember, you can also reach out to me on my website at kyleaugustcoaching.com if you did want to send me a question personally. As well as this, for all my members, it is the second week. So we're on the second portion of our weekly workshop, and I'm going to upload that later today. I'm going to make it just a video that I post for the members because it seemed a little difficult to get everyone together on the Zoom. So I'm just going to post that. So keep an eye out for it because it is going to have a workbook included. Thank you again so much for stopping by today, and I can't wait to see you in my next video tomorrow.